There's a particular kind of white supremacy that doesn't wear a hood, doesn't march with a torch, doesn't call anyone a slur. It shops local, it votes blue, it reads S-premacist Kennedy, and posts about uplifting marginalized voices. It believes deeply in its own goodness. It believes its guilt is the same thing as accountability. This is the casual white supremacist, the one who has made white supremacy into an aesthetic, a posture, or a kind of ethical Pilates. It stretches just enough to feel virtuous, but never enough to feel pain. Casual white supremacy doesn't shout. It smiles. It signs the petition. It donates $20 to a bail fund while still calling the police on a neighbor's kid. It tells itself that racism lives somewhere else, in red states or rural towns or in those people over there. It's the myth of distance that keeps the whole machine running. It wears pronoun pins and DEI stickers like armor, convinced these talismans can ward off complicity. It's the nonprofit director who writes "We Stand With" posts while underpaying black women. It's the teacher who loves the hate you give, but still calls the principal when a student wears a hoodie. It's the coworker who says, "You're so articulate," and thinks that's a compliment. The casual white supremacist doesn't mean harm. That's the problem. Meaning well has become the ultimate loophole. Intent has replaced impact as the moral currency of polite society. And so harm gets repackaged as confusion, fragility, or a learning opportunity. In that sense, casual white supremacy is less an ideology and more a luxury, the privilege of never having to see oneself as the villain. It's not violent because it doesn't have to be. Its violence is bureaucratic, procedural, human resources approved. It hides behind policy, protocol, and tone. It weaponizes civility to keep power intact. The smile is the blade, the compliment, the cage. The casual white supremacist can say Black Lives Matter with a straight face and still clutch their purse on a black neighborhood stroll. They can repost Martin Luther King Jr. quotes and never reckon with how white comfort is exactly what killed him. They confuse awareness with transformation and progress with proximity to blackness. It's a species of supremacy built on plausible deniability, the kind that can always say, "That's not me." And in that denial, it thrives, it multiplies, it runs your nonprofits, your editorial boards, your universities, your social enterprises. It rebrands oppression as a best practice, and it drafts diversity statements while maintaining all-white leadership teams. It calls exploitation capacity building. What makes the casual white supremacist so enduring is that it's socially rewarded. Being woke is good optics, not a threat to power. It's a market move now. There's merch, webinars, and keynote speakers. Entire industries have risen to teach white people how to feel bad without giving up control. The real work, the dismantling, the redistribution, the relinquishing, requires losing something. Status, comfort, the illusion of innocence. That's why casual white supremacy is so seductive. It lets you perform progress without surrendering anything of substance. And here's where it gets even more insidious. White supremacy doesn't only rely on white people to survive. It trains the rest of us, too, to uphold its hierarchies in exchange for a little borrowed power, a little safety, a little distance from the bottom. It teaches marginalized people to police one another, to enforce its norms in our workplaces, our schools, our movements, even our families. It teaches us to call it professionalism, respectability, or merit. The system doesn't just want your compliance, it wants your imitation. That's the quiet genius of it. How it convinces the wounded to wield its weapons. How it persuades the historically excluded to protect the very gate that's keeping them out. The closer you get to whiteness, the more you're rewarded for helping to guard it. And that reward, that fleeting sense of belonging, is the trap. The people most fluent in its language are often the ones most insulated by it. They build careers on the language of liberation, while liberation itself stays theoretical. They write op-eds about equity while negotiating salaries in whispers, making sure whiteness still pays a premium. They write strategic plans that promise inclusion, but never include the people most harmed. Casual white supremacy doesn't look broken. It looks like a well-run meeting. It looks like a mission statement. It looks like progress. It looks like the right direction. That's the brilliance of it. It doesn't need to hate you to erase you. It just needs to keep liking itself more than it loves justice. And when you name it, when you interrupt it or challenge it, even gently, it calls you divisive. It tells you to be patient. It calls you angry, radical, unprofessional, ungrateful. It clings to its civility like a shield, unaware that civility itself has always been the leash. The casual white supremacist doesn't need to burn books, it just edits them. It doesn't need to silence voices, it just speaks over them with empathy. It doesn't need to storm the Capitol, it already runs the committees that decide who gets invited to the table. White supremacy isn't dying. It's networking, it's collaborating, it's innovating. It's evolving in the open, clothed in inclusion, fluent in apology. It has learned to survive on the edge of optics, and until accountability becomes more valuable than innocence, it will never run out of places to hide. The casual white supremacist isn't some shadowy stranger. It's the neighbor who means well, the coworker who tries, the leader who wants to do better. It's the system that made them all think wanting was enough, and maybe the most dangerous thing about it is how easy it is to become one. If you thought this was helpful or interesting, feel free to give me a like or a follow, and you can check out all my other social media accounts, including YouTube.